The fourth and final story of the day. I might do an extra one. We'll see how much people stick around because I had something else I want to talk about. But Bolsonaro, Jair Bolsonaro, is now the official president of Brazil. He was sworn in. He's a retired military officer, very, very Trump-like, maybe even stronger and a little wilder. Like this boy goes. You listen to Bolsonaro, he doesn't cut corners, he doesn't sugarcoat things. He's just like, and to be honest, me personally, I like Bolsonaro. I'm proud and happy for Brazil that he did get elected. He actually got stabbed on his campaign. He almost got murdered, but he stood the test of time. God is great, you know what I'm saying? He's very into God, and I think that helped him on his way of not getting stabbed, or not getting murdered. He did get stabbed. Anyway, he's sworn into office. It's official now. Bolsonaro, Brazil. He's vowing to fight cultural Marxism very, very strongly, and the media hates that he's talking about that because cultural Marxism is very, very real. It's in academia. It's in the school systems. Places like Brazil and the United States and Canada and Europe, they use, here's my thing, I can't say, or I don't know exactly what Bolsonaro said and did in his whole life. I can't justify everything he said and done. I'll tell you what he's actually doing, but also I want to say, I'm pro-LGBT. I don't care what you do. If you want to change genders when you're an adult, as long as you're not injecting a little baby with hormones or sexualizing young kids, then you're just a pervert and a pedophile. If you want to do it in your personal time, that's fine. I'm all pro-LGBT. I have a lot of gay people who watch my videos and say, Namely, thank you. Like, the gay community doesn't represent me. I'm not soft, and I'm not, I'm not that sensitive, and I'm not that annoying. Like, most gay people are really fun and cool. Like, they don't act like the mainstream media. So I love the LGBT community. It's all love for me. Good people. But cultural Marxism and left-wing leaders, communist socialist leaders, or people who say I'm democratic but they're really socialist communist ideology, which is take your tax money, redistribute it, or just steal it like they do in most countries, they use the LGBT community. That's why I never attack the people directly, because it's not the LGBT community's fault. It's these cultural Marxists, these socialists and communists like in Brazil, they use the LGBT community as a shield. So they're running, pushing, stealing taxes, making huge welfare systems. There's a huge lower class. They're protecting criminals. They side against cops. And I'm not saying all cops are perfect, but, good cops do protect the community and make sure that they go at crime. I mean, people hate on ICE, but it's like, do you know how many human traffickers ICE has, stopped? And do you know how many kids ICE has saved from being, sold into sex slavery? A lot. So it's not all just bad stuff. Anyway, this is what cultural Marxists do. Oh no, don't attack the gays, but they use them as a shield. So of course they're going to get attacked when your whole agenda is hiding behind them. And that agenda is an agenda of total control. It's a control freak. It's not freedom. It's the opposite of LGBT real values. They said, gay people are going to get married, so we're free. Okay. Gay people get married under Obama. Everyone celebrates. It's a great time. Did they stop there? Did they just say, oh, we want gay people to be equal and free? No, look where they've gone in the past 3 years. They've inched. Now it's at the point where it's like, you're a cisgendered white male. You're not invited to an event because you're a man who has sex with women and we don't like you. You oppress me. You're like, you don't even know who I am. You don't know my story. You don't know what my family's done. You don't know anything about me, but you're going to judge me based on my sexuality and skin color. And then you're going to act like you're an activist who's standing against sexual and racial and, gender oppression. It's the fakest of the fake. And that's what the Women's March is. That's what the modern democratic LGBT, who is, honestly, I think a lot more gay and lesbian people are coming to my side of anti-political correctness because they're like, dude, we just wanted to have fun. We just wanted to have a few drinks and have sex with who we wanted. We weren't trying to wrestle 17-year-old girls like a 230-pound-year-old guy choking out a girl. You probably, I don't think 80-90% of the LGBT community thinks that's a good idea. Anybody with a common sense would be like, yeah, maybe we should sit out of sports. Maybe we shouldn't join the WNBA and start dunking on Lisa Leslie. Although Lisa Leslie could ball, so maybe she'll ball harder. Anyway, point I'm saying is, this is very, very real. What I just said, that 5 minutes, is more honest. I'm not bragging. This is more like a sad reality of how bad the news is. that's a better representation of what like the Bolsonaro and the Trump and the right-wing movement of today, that's what they're fighting against. They're not fighting against gay people who are gay. They're fighting against cultural Marxism. And Bolsonaro is not mincing words. He says, I'm destroying cultural Marxism. He's also very, I think he's very Christian. He loves God, Christian or Catholic. He's anti-abortion. He's anti-teaching sexuality and weird gender classes in school. And guess what? I agree with him. Like I said, I'm pro-LGBT, but like, get rid of these race classes. Get rid of these gender classes. Get rid of any class before the age of like 15 where they're sexualizing young kids. Because if you're telling a young boy or a young girl at the age of 7, if you're telling them you can be gay and straight, you're having gay and straight classes when they're 4 or 5 years old, you're sexually exploiting your kid. Because I didn't think about having sex with women when I was 7 or 8 years old. Like, that's not what happens unless you're sexually abused. And God bless everybody who was. I know a lot of people unfortunately have in this creepy world. But you shouldn't teach kids about sex and gay and straight, because that's implying that you want to, be in an intimate relationship with the other sex or the same sex. And they're teaching these in schools. And they're hiding behind, oh, you're anti-gay if you want to get rid of this. No, I'm anti-pedophile. I'm anti-human trafficking. I'm anti-sexualizing of children. I'm anti-child abuse. I'm not anti-LGBT. If you're older or you're even like 15 or 16 or something, it's a lot different than young. And Bolsonaro is screaming at these people. He might say things that are mean sometimes, but his intention, can't lie, I agree with 120%. I love the LGBT community. They know that I love them. Not like that, but, they know that I love them. And it's all love, but I'm tired of failed ideology that has worked 0% of the time in human history, that steals from the middle class, that makes a giant slave class of poor people, that justifies bringing in millions of illegals so that they can make lower pay. They're like, oh, we need all these people here. Then you ask them why, like they have some virtuous thing. Oh, they deserve an education. No, they're like, oh, so they can work lower wage jobs. So it's like, you want people to come so they could work for you for cheaper, and you think that makes you a good person? Like, of course that's going to happen. God bless all my brothers and sisters who do. But that's like their justification. They're like, oh, like who's going to do this for me? It's like, that doesn't make you a virtuous saint. That makes you not, it's worthy of discussion, but it's like, I'm tired of the LGBT community. I'm tired of women and children being used and scapegoated as a shield for this sick ideology of high taxes, total control, more regulations, Merkel and Macron, Hitler and Hitler Jr. running the show. Oh, you're a racist, sexist, xenophobe if you don't want Merkel to control your country. Like, what is this, 1950, where Hitler's trying to take over the world, and Stalin's trying to take over the world, and France is trying to take over the world? I read the history books. According to you guys, it was some bad times. Millions of people died on all sides, and then we came out. Why in the world would I want Macron or little Hitler to run America? That's not, we voted for Trump. And when Obama was president, guess what? Obama was the president. Merkel was not the president. So but if you don't like Merkel, what do you not like gay people and women? What do you like? Everything they frame. This year, I'm going to tear apart their framing further and further, because it's like you can't even get started with a discussion with them without them misframing it. Oh, you want people to get pepper sprayed in the face? And I'm just like, what do you talk, like, what, why do you think this? Like, do you believe yourself? Is it like everyone's going to starve and die if we don't bring communism? Like, that's a pretty bold move, Cotton. We'll see how it works out. But Bolsonaro is going hard in the paint. And I talked to someone called me. Hold on. I'm going to finish up the thing. I talked to some Brazilians last night, and they were not a huge fan of Bolsonaro, but they were saying, they kind of saw why he was there. And I said, make Brazil great again. I was just joking. And they said Brazil was never great. And I don't know that that's true. But this is the thing about Brazil. They need a lot of help. They need somebody strong. Cultural Marxism is weak. Leftism is weak. It's fake. I've talked to many people from Brazil. They say here people are homeless because they're cracked out. Maybe something bad happened slightly. But to be honest, no one wants to say this, but it's true. Most people in United States, they're not homeless because they need a job. We have more jobs available. They're homeless because something happened mentally, physically, drug-wise, career-wise maybe. But like, it's not like, oh, I just can't find. In Brazil, there's not jobs, so people are like, families are homeless, like literally like families that can't help it, like not like they did heroin. I'm not saying all homeless people did heroin, but I mean, there's not that many winners out there all the time. Like people want to baby all these people in America. We're not in Brazil. I mean, you go to Venezuela, yeah, people are homeless because it costs $10,000 to buy a loaf of bread. In Brazil, people are homeless because they literally can't find a job. There's unemployment and like 3% approval rating of the president. It's a totally different world. And, you know, Bolsonaro's trying to reverse all of that stuff. And he's also an ex-military guy. He's an ex-retired military officer. So he's trying to bring law and order just like Trump is. And I know some people, when you're young and when you like rap music and stuff like myself, you know, you think like, oh man, F the police. That's what the NWA said, like F the police, F the military, F this, F that. And like, it sounds like counterculture and it sounds cool when you're saying it, because it's like, yeah, we've all probably dealt with, including police officers, we've all dealt with some corrupt police. And police are not perfect. They definitely do some sketchy stuff sometimes, depending where you live, more or less. There's some places where the police are probably really corrupt, some where they're not at all. But it's actually not cool to say that, because like, if you don't have a police force, if you don't have a strong military, you're going to get run by the next strong thing, whether it's this, that, the other, invasion, you know, people that don't obey law and order. So Trump's really about law and order. I didn't really understand maybe a few years ago because I listened to too much rap music, but now I'm like, oh, that actually makes sense. You know, who do I want to in my community? Like, I'd rather them get a hold on things rather than like just trash everywhere and crime everywhere. Like, that's not fun for anyone. So Bolsonaro's like Trump in that way. He's like law and order. And he's very not politically correct. I've seen a video of him saying, if this person has a gun, what do you want me to baby him? Just kill the guy. Like, and people are like, whoa, this guy is so crazy. But it's like, is it really that crazy? Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're a police officer and you're busting up a huge crime thing and they pull out a gun on you, you probably should shoot them. I don't know. It just like, so you don't get shot yourself. Like, it's just like basic human survival. No, what you should do is talk to them, make them put down the weapon, do yoga. And I love yoga, but like, this is not the time for yoga and Justin Trudeau, you know, little podcasts and you know, Pinterest. It's time to like law and order. Like, if you're a security guard, I always use this example. Your job is not to do yoga and tell people how to disarm them. Your job is to protect the door. That's your door. That's your business. No one gets in that you don't want. People get kicked out that you want. Very simple. Very effective. You don't want a little, you know what, to be like, nee. That's not what you want as a security guard. That's not what you want as a police officer. That's not what you want as a military member. And that's sure as heck not what you want as the commander-in-chief and president of your country. So Bolsonaro is calling for law and order. And he's even spicier than Trump about it, because he's been in the military. He got stabbed. I don't think he cares anymore. And the reason I'm talking about this, you could have your opinions. You could talk about, he's pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement, just like Trump. He's doing literally like all the things, all the right things, so that Brazil doesn't get taken over by the EU. They must be so mad there at the EU. They're like, we were this close to taking over the whole world. We almost had America. We almost had Brazil. We almost had Israel. We almost had, we got Germany. We got France. We almost had Italy. We almost had Poland. We were this close to taking over the world, and then Trump won, Bolsonaro won. Now it's all ruined. They lost their, like, oh man. But he pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. It's not because he hates people and he wants the climate to change. It's because he knows it's a total $1 trillion global control scam. He's the real deal. And sometimes it's a tough task, you know? I have some friends that I want to chill with, and, you know, I like them maybe better than other friends. And then there's other friends that, like, they might be a little off-putting at time. Like, maybe you can't take them everywhere. But if something was going down, you'd call that friend, because you wouldn't want the other friend that can't do anything. You know, so it's like, there's a time and a place for everything. And 2019 is the time for Trump. It's the time for Bolsonaro. It's the time for your friend who says what you don't want to hear, but low-key you know it's true, and makes things right, brings God back. And I'm not talking in like a radical way, like God, we're all going to like basic law and order, basic common sense, love thy neighbor, the elements that you could find in every religion, the prosperity and the basic decency that holds the fabric of society together. Without it, you have nothing. You have pretty much every liberal city that's, you know, in some ways trashed, but in other ways beautiful. You know, Los Angeles, San Francisco, It's not all terrible. The people here are amazing. The food here is amazing. The culture here is amazing. There's so many liberal ideas that actually do blossom into great things. Like, you know, there is a place and a time for liberalism. I love good liberals when they execute on good ideas, and it happens all the time. It's why I do, among all the problems, I do really like the city I live in. But at the same time, if you tilt too far, you'll lose it all. And that's what I'm afraid of, is like 10 years, 15 years, you go to San Francisco or LA, and it's like unbearable. It's like the whole thing is trashed, and it's getting closer and closer and closer. And it's like, I'm not saying this because I hate Brazil. I'm not saying this because I hate LA or I hate like liberals. I love liberals. I love liberalism. I love the people here. But I see the direction everything's going, and it's not up, because like in Brazil, and I'm saying this, I hope people really consider it, because you're not going to find this anywhere. If you Google search, 95% of the searches are going to tell you some right-wing, he hates gay people, like the same thing they do with Trump. That's all they're going to say. And they're allowed to say that. They're allowed to critique them. They're allowed to have these opinions. But people deserve both sides, and people deserve like a more healthy analysis of it, I would say. And anywhere from Brazil to California, that socialism and communist ideologies go, which is a huge welfare class. They tax people. They have all these ideas that involve trillions of dollars that come from someone. They come from somewhere. It comes from the people. They have all these liberal, socialist, communist ideas of we need to make the businesses pay. The elites need to pay. The rich need to pay. Elizabeth Warren says it. Bernie Sanders says it. The communists and socialists in Brazil say it. But we need this. We need this. It sounds great. But what it really means is now taxes raise and fees raise, and they try to take the money from the rich, and then all the businesses go somewhere else. Because if you're a business, you don't have to stay in Brazil. You don't have to stay in America. You don't have to stay in California. Why would you? When they're trying to take 50% of your money, why would you stay there? Can you pay your workers high if you have 50% of the money taken? Are you going to have a lot of money? So it doesn't work. People say that trickle-down economics doesn't work. Reagan and Trump, where it's like they make more money and it trickles down. Truth is, part of it does work. It trickles down a little bit, but yeah, you're never going to make as much money if you're the janitor of a company as if you are the CEO, unless you own the janitor or you rise up the ranks. It's no disrespect to janitors. God bless people who do all sorts of jobs. I come from working class family, and I've done those type of jobs for 10 years. I'm not disrespecting. It's just like, going into the show, like I don't go wash dishes like I have before. Like, I should make as much money as the CEO. Like, yeah, it's not going to trickle down like that. They're not going to throw all their money at me. I got to make my own restaurant one day. And the great thing about America under conservatism is that you actually can. Even under this era now, yeah, everything's stacked against us, but you could still do it because this is a great country. And if you work hard enough and smart enough and you're, put the energy in, you could start. I know all sorts of immigrants and people who have businesses, from landscaping to restaurants to online, selling weed products, like whatever you can dream up. You can literally do it in America. But when you bring in socialism and communism, that American dream runs dry. It's long run dry in Brazil. They've gone so far socialist communist, it's had a major, major effect. And people say it's not real socialism, communism. We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that. I hear what you're saying, but it never works because no one knows how to counter this. Like they'll say, oh no, that we're going to take that much from the elites. What if they don't pay? What if they don't want to pay? What if they go move somewhere else from your state or your country? Then where are you going to get the money? You have to get it from somewhere. And I'm telling you, whether the rich pays all of their fair share or the rich pays none of their fair share, a big chunk of it, and probably a biggest chunk of it, is going to come from the middle class. So it incentivizes being poor. You can be poor. You can be a crackhead on the street, because you know why? If you are, we'll bend over backwards for you, because all of society is going to break their backs so you can be a bum, so you can be a crackhead, so you can be a loser, so you can do nothing, have 19 kids and sit there and, drive a Mercedes, but then buy stuff with food stamps. And I'm not saying that everybody does this, but some people do it. They use the system in their advantage. And I'm not even mad at them. Why not? If there's free money and stuff, if you want to do that and that's your lane, do it. But it's taking money from working class. Where does all that money come from? What about the Latino, Hispanic, or Black family that works for $20, $25 an hour and has 3 kids of their own? Those are the families that never get talked about because their money, oh no, we need a text message tax. No, we're going to do a carbon tax. Oh yeah, gas is $4.50 because we're terrible at business in California. Oh no, don't worry, we're going to add a tax to the carbon tax. You weren't paying enough, even though other states, if you move there, you only pay $2 a gallon. You're going to pay $4.50 and we're going to tax you. It doesn't help the middle class. It doesn't help the working class. It doesn't even help the average poor person. Socialism and communism creates a very, very wealthy, creates a very, very poor welfare state. It pushes the middle class down into the lower class, and it keeps the lower class poor because if they escape out of it, then they lose their benefits. And then it's like it's a trap. It's why they call the hood a trap, because it is a trap. It's why I've seen rappers recently say, you can give someone $5,000, but that's a trap. You're not really trying to help the young black girl. Yeah, you give her $5,000, that's the trap. Because you're not, give a man or a woman a fish, feed them for a day. Teach a man or a woman how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime. And that's what socialism and communism is. They're just handing out fish. Eat a fish, eat a fish, eat a fish. So they're always dependent on the fish. Teach a man how to fish, and he will, or a woman, to be politically correct and real. And they can eat for a lifetime. And that's what they don't want to do. That's why outside of politics, I know some progressives don't want to hear this because they're so gung-ho on the health thing, but like, don't take $1,000 from me a year or $5,000 from me a year to make my health better. Teach a man how to fish. Teach me how to eat right. Teach me how to work out. Teach me about intermittent fasting and how bad bread is. Teach me these things that I never learned in school because they were lying to me. The government that you want to give all the money, power, and control to. Teach me these things. Teach the black community that they don't have to grow up that way. They don't have to listen to these type of musicians who say to, do drugs and shoot people. It's like, yeah, that's going to lead to crime and poverty because it's a one-way track to being dead or in jail. Either you're going to end up dead or in jail. Like, yeah, it might work for like a small percentage of people. You fight your way to the top, but that's not how you're successful. So they do that to the black community. They put this culture in their mind. They put all these bad vibes and energy, all these pharmacy pills and all this bad food in these communities. And then they say, no, we're going to help you. We love you. We love you so much more than conservatives. We're going to give you the food. We're going to give you this stuff. But they're not teaching you. They're not teaching you about finances. They're not teaching you about banking. They're not teaching you about this stuff. And what I love about the modern day, although I don't agree with all of their politics, a lot of black activists nowadays, not the phony Black Lives Matter type ones, but a lot of real black activists that I might not see eye to eye with on they teach their people this. They teach people this. Like, it's not about welfare systems. It's not about voting like that way. It's about freeing your mind. And that's what Kanye West is talking about. Others are talking about it. That's why they hate it so much and they have to call it racist, sexist, and xenophobic. Because if you unlock that key in your mind, you're not going to need those because you're going to be able to create your own, create a way better life for you and your family and everyone around. And that's a big threat to them. And it was a long little tangent, but it all goes hand in hand with Brazil. Because this is what people are tired of every race, religion, and gender. And I see it on the daily. And a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people don't because they're, very sheep-like follower mentality. And some people just have different ideas. That's fine too. But the reason I'm saying this is not to say I'm 100% right. There's no other way there's no possible way that system can work. I know that welfare has saved millions of lives too. I'm saying this because the whole conversation is framed in a totally false way using race, religion, and gender when it doesn't add up to how people really feel. It's the only conversation being had about Bolsonaro or Trump or anybody. And anytime someone says this, they try to say racist, sexist, and xenophobic when it's not true. So I'm just getting this out there, throwing it out to the world and the universe so it's out there. Because this is really how tens of millions of people feel, hundreds of millions of people feel, potentially billions of people feel. I mean, black, Latino, white, Jewish, Asian, this, that, man, woman, trans. Like, there's a lot of people who feel this way. I know, a transgender woman and a drag queen that are both libertarian. They don't feel this way. They're not super sensitive and annoying. Like, you bring them to a party and they cry about everything. It's pathetic. It's pathetic what they're teaching, and it's not helping. Just a side note, I saw a girl and her boyfriend get kicked out of a bar or club yesterday for being too drunk, and she tried to pull the feminist card. She was like, we were having such an empowering night. I actually have video footage of it, but I'm not going to blast my security homies like that. I don't want to put them on World Star Hip Hop or anything, but she's like, we were having such an empowering night. guess what, Sugar Cup? It's not about you and your feelings and your Women's March. They lied to you. If you don't follow the rules of the club and you do too much, doesn't matter what gender you are. No one cares that you were having I mean, we're all it's a New Year's. Yeah, it's very empowering. I'm not knocking the good energy and stuff, but it's like she's programmed by the leftists to have a victim failing mentality. And then when it doesn't work in real life, when it leads you to poverty or getting kicked out somewhere or doing something, you can't cope with it because you're always, but that's sexist. No, it has nothing to do with your gender. And the guy who were kicking her out, just to make it hilarious, I see this stuff on a daily basis. The one dude was black and the one dude who was Hispanic. So it was like a white woman using her gender against black and Hispanic security guard. And they were like laughing because they're like, what? No one cares about your gender right now. Just like if they kick someone black out, they wouldn't have cared about their race. Just like if they kick someone white out, they wouldn't have cared about their race. I'm starting to I must be getting older because I like people with jobs. I feel like I sound like they're like jobs. Trump says jobs. And I'm like, oh man, they don't know what they're talking about. But it's like, I tend to like people more with jobs because it's always the black man or Hispanic man with a job, any job, that's doing the right thing, and it's the random person who's just causing disruption who's doing the wrong thing. And I see this stuff happen all the time, and it bothers me. The black security guard in a suit, getting harassed by the black guy on the street who's just trying to cause trouble everywhere. But it's like, oh, if someone says that, then it's like, I don't care what race they are, but I see good people of these races that people claim to like getting hurt every day, and they know it. Ye's waking up. We're having a Blexit event that they're letting me host for some reason. No, I'm just kidding. God bless. We're going to get spicy out here, and I'm going to continue to push the boundaries because with Bolsonaro and Brazil, the reason he's there and the story he's there, just like Trump, just like Canada, just like Ontario, Canada, just like Quebec, Canada, just like when Justin Trudeau's out, it's going conservative. They went too far left in Brazil. They went too far left in Canada. People really don't like it, and when that happens, and the last thing I want to say before I leave is if you don't like Trump, if for whatever reason you really don't like Trump, which is fine, understand that Trump is really not that bad. He's actually very funny, very strong, very sensible, very reasonable, very actually middle of the road. He'll do stuff like prison reform if it makes sense. Trump's a very smart guy, nice guy. If you go too far, if you try to go any further than we are left right now, and you screw it up like they're doing in Canada, if you screw it up like you did in Brazil, now you get a Bolsonaro. Now you get someone who's 10 times as crazy as a Bolsonaro because people are going to get desperate. And if I have the choice between someone crazier than Bolsonaro and a cultural Marxist, I'm probably going to vote for the person crazier than Bolsonaro, even if I don't want to. A lot of people did that with Trump. To me, I didn't even vote for Trump. He didn't appeal to me at the time. Now he does, but at the time, he didn't win my vote, or I didn't see enough things that made me want to vote for him. And that happened to a lot of people. They're like, oh, he's the less of two evils or whatever. But it's like, you think Trump is bad, push further left, and you'll get a crazy. And this is how bad dictatorships and bad leaders come, because you ruin everything, turn the whole country into a ghetto, and then now we're going to have some crazy gun-slanging guy from Texas who's going to say, F this, law and order, we need to, Trump is a baby version of that. He's not even that bad. But if people really don't like Trump, they should really consider what I'm saying. Because if you go further left than we are now, and we have 4 or 8 years of somebody who's like a cultural Marxist extremist, even Barack Obama wasn't that bad. Obamacare was awful. A lot of things he did in the Middle East are very, very bad. But even certain things Obama was pretty middle of the road about. And that's just how it was. They've sold out, so far gone. If we ever have a leftist leader, you're going to elect a right-wing leader in the future that is so bad and so much worse than Trump. You're going to cry at night and dream of the days that President Trump was here and we were actually having fun, because his Twitter is hilarious. So a little bit on Jair Bolsonaro, problems in Brazil, America, because like liberals say, and they're honest about, we are all the same. We all bleed red blood. Different cultures are a little bit different. Some of us have different facial features and skin colors, but overall, we all bleed red blood. We all want to have fun, take care of our families, and the same problems from Belgium to Brazil to, Boston. I wanted to use another B, to Canada. No, it's all the same. It's all the same ideology behind the politics. It's like too much taxes, not enough law and order, too much corruption, too much crime, not enough common sense. These are happening all over the world, and it's a beautiful thing. That's why we got people tuning in from Algeria to Albuquerque. All right, we're out. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you being here. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless Brazil, and God bless the entire world. I pray for health, prosperity, peace, good energy, a lot of energy for you and your family in 2019. I hope we make it the greatest year ever, and I hope among anything, no matter what you're doing, try to be happy, go easy on yourself. I'm not saying to be lazy, but no matter if you work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, or if you have vacation for a month, life is what you make of it. And if you don't appreciate the little things, whether you're working or you're not, nothing's going to be fun, even if you were on vacation. So it's like, get your mind right, and everything else will come out around it. So, appreciate you guys for being here. Hopefully that's a good little send-off for the 2019. Have a good week. It's since New Year's messed me up. I don't even know what day it is, but if it's not Sunday, I'll be back tomorrow. I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know. I got a calendar, so I'll look after this. Have a happy New Year's, January 1st. Let's make it a good one.